Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Growth Class. I'm your host, Phil Masiello, and today's guest is Aaron Zagha, who spent his early career in investment banking and strategy at JP Morgan. But for the last decade, he's been in the trenches of the D2C world, from co-founding startups like Onza to leading e-commerce at Teleflora and now overseeing brand and growth at Newton Baby. He's seen what it takes to scale the fastest growing companies in the space. And on this show, we strip away the fluff, focus on the mechanics of real growth, from Amazon ads and influencer marketing to Meta ads, Google ads, etc., to the unit economics that actually matter. So let's get to work. Yeah. So if you could sort of give us a little history, your background, because it's not exactly the usual background to get into direct to consumer. You sort of spent a lot of time as an investment banker or on that side of it. So sure. I'd love to hear the background story.
Sure. Background in my career is basically I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't have a good idea of a company to start. So I figured out the best way to learn about business while waiting around for the, eureka moment was to get paid while doing it in investment banking. So I went to school for finance, did investment banking, quit, did a startup. That failed, went back to investment banking, quit, did a startup. It kind of bounced back and forth that way, with a little more finance time than startup time. But about 12 years ago now, I ended up in a finance and M&A group at the Wonderful Companies, which was, they own a bunch of big consumer brands, Fiji water, pomegranate juice, and one of the brands was Teleflora, which is online flower sales. And an opportunity arose to run their international e-commerce, and one of my startups had been in social commerce, and so they stuck me in there, and it ended up going pretty well. And I decided to pivot my career at that point to e-commerce. And then I joined Newton about 9 years ago. I'd known the founder for a while. Newton was tiny at the time, and he brought me aboard to really scale their revenue at that point.
So, I read about the founder of Newton. He's a third generation baby retailer or
Third generation bedding, yeah, mattresses and bedding and things like that.
for
Newton,
baby, specifically for
no,
babies.
no, the other ones weren't for babies. Yeah, Newton was the first one for babies, and it was the first one that was really he really wanted to build the D2C brand. And so he came across the material, which is now the core of our mattresses, very differentiated. It looks like ramen noodles before you put them in the water. And he realized a perfect use case for it would be in bedding specifically for babies, because there's so much air in it, you could breathe right through the mattress, so there's no suffocation risk. And also you can actually wash the inside of the mattress, which is vital for babies which have leaky diapers.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. So how have you been building it? I mean, it's probably not ads, right? I mean, ads are expensive, and it's not really the way to scale.
Well, ironically, it was not necessarily ads, but in the early days, and this is going back almost 10 years now, um, we really started scaling the business through influencer marketing. Um, I had tried it in previous lives without all that much success, but there is no community where, I think at least historically it made more sense than in the, mom, baby, pregnancy community, where if there's someone you follow and you really trust, you're going to pay attention when they say, "Hey, I found this amazing new product that gives me so much peace of mind." And so that's really how we scaled the business in the early days, along with the regular, Meta and Google ads.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, influencer was really what built the business in the early days.
Yeah, I would think so. Babies and puppies on influencer marketing definitely,
Well,
definitely have.
it's funny you mentioned that. So the founder wanted to sell pet beds using the same technology. It really is a good use case for dogs also because of the breathability and washability. And he really just wanted to have puppies on the website, puppies and babies, right? So it ended up not working out all that well. It was one of our only misses, I would say. It turns out people love their babies and they love their puppies, but they're not willing to spend $300 on a puppy mattress. So it was tough to sell those.
Huh. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't, I don't know about that. I got, I have memory. I'm a dog lover, and I have memory foam mattresses for my dogs. I have,
Do they
they
cost
all
$300?
oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
wow,
have
alright.
I
Well,
have stuff
we
going
missed
on,
you somehow.
and I will tell you that, from our side, right, I run an agency, and we have a couple of pet brands that are on that gear towards the really high end, selling all kinds of pet stuff, and it's amazing what people will spend on their pets. And I am a testament to it. It's not something. I mean, I have a sofa for my dogs.
Yeah, I love those. Those
It's
are great.
so but I understand, like, the average person, yes, you're 100% right, the average person's not going to do it. On We also had a guest on the show, this guy Joe Rothley, who founded Greenies
Yeah,
for dogs, and he understands the pet business better than anybody I've ever met in my life. He exited to Mars, but he the stuff that he's seen with people doing with their pets and how much they've spent and what how they do it, it's hysterical.
yeah.
We had a shaving brand a bunch of years ago that we founded, and we actually we put puppies in one of the commercials, and it was one of the better spots we did for TV because I don't know, people just related to it, and we were trying to figure out how we can get babies in there as well. Like, how do you get babies to shave dad? Something like that, but we could never figure it out. But the puppies worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we found that even though we weren't selling that many crib mattresses with them, including the pet bed ads in our Facebook campaigns actually improved conversion on the baby stuff.
Were they separate businesses? You weren't doing it on the same business, were you?
Same business.
Yeah, I would have separated them. I think that's a
Newton for all your babies, furry
yeah,
babies too.
yeah, yeah. I think you got to kind of separate out the businesses there. But well, that's just my opinion. Again, I don't. What the heck do I know? Um, But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the baby business, it's one of those businesses where, again, you're 100% right. The influencer community is very, very strong and very powerful because, moms are very, very cautious about what they're going to do for their babies, and they're always looking for validation. And when you can get people to validate, so are you still doing a lot of influencer marketing?
No, we've pulled back quite a bit. So we use UGC all day long, especially in our paid ads, but we've seen rapidly deteriorating performance of the pay to post model for a number of different reasons. But the biggest one is just as ad load has increased on the platforms, they're showing fewer and fewer followers your content. At the same time, a lot of the big creators haven't dropped rates to take that into account.
Yeah.
So, getting licensing the content for ads works really well, but the pay to post doesn't work nearly as well as it used to, even just 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting crowded. And I think people are skeptical on the paid to post, but they definitely like UGC content, and if you can do it, and if you can keep your pipeline going with making sure that people have the products to talk about and create the content, it's fantastic. Do you do any TV?
We do. We do, quite a bit of TV, or, everything from, YouTube on the big screen to CTV. We've done a bunch of linear as well.
Yeah. How do you find CTV?
So it's interesting. When we first tried CTV, it didn't work for us at all. We're scaled, like we're the dominant player at the high end of the crib mattress market, and that's our hero product. And so we decided to give CTV a test. And this was, 4 or 5 years ago now, when CPMs were well north of $25. And what we found was that we saw a lot of conversions in platform, but none of them were incremental. We just weren't reaching new audiences because frankly, there weren't that many more audiences to reach. By that point in time, this was kind of how we discovered that we were at scale. At that point in time, we were serving pretty much every pregnant woman in the country 20 impressions a month. And there's just not that many of them. And adding on another touch point at 3 times the cost of a Facebook ad just turned out not to make sense. Now, over the past 3 years, really, we've dramatically increased our product mix, and we have all kinds of other products to sell the customer. And so we've seen CTV work for us, kind of over the past year as we relaunched it, because we do have so many more products and the awareness of those products isn't nearly what it is for the crib mattress yet.
Yeah. Are you managing that yourself, or do you have a customer?
We've worked with a bunch of different vendors on it and
Yeah.
agencies. Yeah.
I, we had brands over the years that for our own brands, that we wasted money on traditional TV, which is a CPM model, and I didn't like that because it's not trackable. But we fell in love with CTV probably, well, 5 or 6 years ago, but I think it's improved dramatically, and the targeting is improved because it's programmatic on this at this point.
Yeah.
And so, but it's very, in my opinion, it's very traceable, very, and even the retargeting side online is phenomenal, and we see tremendous returns on CTV ads. But I think that the two keys, and people sort of disregard. One is you have to have a great piece of creative. You have to have something that people are going to respond to, and you got to have something in the first 3 seconds that they're going to stick with it. The second one is you really, really, really have to understand who the target is that you're going after. You can't just say too many people come to us and they say, "Oh, it's." We sell, we're in the shaving business, so we sell to everybody, which isn't true. When we were in the shaving business, I could tell you that our core audience was 28 to 45, because a guy that's over 45, he's been using the same 3-blade razor for, his
Hmm.
entire life. It's going to be hard to convert him, right? A guy under 45, he's willing to try anything, right? So, people, and it's amazing to me how many brands don't really understand who exactly they are talking to and how they're talking to them.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been doing this a long time, and like you said, you're the king of the category. So you must have tremendous amount of metrics on exactly who you're talking to and where you're talking to them. Are you still finding meta ads are working?
Absolutely. Yeah. Probably better than in the recent past even. Yeah, their algorithms are just better than everyone else's.
That's funny to hear. Just because we get so many, so many complaints about meta ads.
It's easy to complain about them for sure. And I used to be a maniac running 30 channels at the same time, and we've dialed that, back down to probably really 10 now. But for scale, especially, it's hard to beat Meta.
Yeah, I would think that. Yeah, I would think that if you can target really well. But are you going directly on the Meta platform? Or are you using like a programmatic system and putting ads on Meta through programmatic advertising?
It depends what you mean by programmatic, but I think we're
Like a
pretty much
demand side platform, like a DSP. Are you going through
no, no,
there?
no. We buy straight through Meta.
Yeah. Um, so are you you don't have any retail stores, right? You're strictly direct to
So
consumer?
it's been an interesting journey as a company from that perspective. When we launched, it was D2C plus Bye Bye Baby, because 12 years ago when the company launched, we really felt like you needed to go have a place you could go in person, touch and feel the mattress. COVID obviously completely changed all that, and we were really well positioned. And then Bye Bye Baby went out of business, so it was a moot point. Um, but we, think that there is some incremental reach with some of the brick and mortar. There are still people who want to buy in store. So we actually launched with Target last year in store on end caps, and that's been going pretty well. And we're evaluating additional partners as well. We're also in store at some Crate stores, and yeah, we're always evaluating. But D2C and Amazon are really always going to be our top two channels, probably.
Yeah. Are you FBA with Amazon?
We are.
Yeah. How do you find that?
Well, sorry, we're FBA and FBM. It's kind of hybrid. The mattresses are big and bulky, and it's too expensive to go FBA. But on all of our smaller things, we're FBA. On the big bulky things, we're FBM. But we're
How do you
seller on all of them, not
how,
vendor.
how do you find that? How do you find that business has changed?
It's interesting, and I mean, this is very specific to Baby, but Amazon was bigger than our D2C when I took over. I flipped that and made D2C bigger. Then a year and a half, 2 years ago, Amazon was growing much more quickly than our D2C, and now it's flipped again. So, look at it as as a seller, I always want to be wherever the customer wants to shop. I want to honor customer preferences. And for a lot of people, they won't buy anything not on Amazon. And I'm probably one of those people to some degree. So I always just want to make sure that we're wherever. And baby registry is a big part of our business. And so the two biggest baby registries are Babylist and Amazon, and we're on both.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, we've been selling on Amazon in different ways since 2006, and the platform has changed dramatically. But I also think it depends. You're 100% right. People want to buy on Amazon. It's the first place they look. As soon as they hear about something new, they go to the app, they look, they'll make that purchase for a lot of different reasons. One of which is they trust Amazon because they know that if there's a problem, they're going to get their money back, and all that. But the fees have just gotten, crazy. And we have I have a friend who has a beauty brand, been selling on Amazon for about, 10, 11 years, all over the world. It's an FBA products all over the world. And he actually stopped, couldn't figure out, all the fees were eating to his profit. So what he
Mhm.
did was he started pulling back on his advertising on Amazon, and he started putting all his money into just micro influencers on TikTok primarily. Because what he found was if he can get 100 micro influencers, and to him, that means nothing more than sending them free product, and explaining it and having them make videos. He gets 100 a month. He's got a person that's all they do. He tries to get 100 good ones a month, and he sees that the sales from TikTok go either to Amazon or to his website. And so he's stopped spending at all on Amazon for his advertising, which has saved him about 15%. So, it's really difficult to sort of manage that growth. But I do like what they've done in the last year between Cosmo and Rufus. I think those two things are game changers. It requires you to restructure your pages, but I think once you do it and you do it correctly, it's a game changer.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they're always going to be at the cutting edge, and so it's interesting to see how they've experimented, especially with Rufus lately. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think, but you're 100% right. You have to be on it. And the baby registry, the bridal registry, those things are really powerful on, so you're I mean, you're definitely in a unique sort of category where, somebody has a baby, it's almost a necessity, right? You've got to find the best of the best, and people don't skimp. They want the best strollers, they want the best car seats, they want the best bedding, they want the best everything. And moms are obsessive about it. And then you've got all the baby showers and everything. So you've got all these other people that are buying products for you. It's not like some of the other categories you deal with, which are sort of not necessary, nice haves, but not a must haves. So what are your top priorities for growing the company in the next, say, 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, growth for us is really driven by new products. So scaling the new products that have been launched and then new product introductions as well. That's where pretty much all of our growth at this point is coming from. So we have a pretty robust product roadmap. I think we're really only limited by, well, production schedules and calendars, and then tariffs, and then whatever other changes, wars.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, so those are kind of the things that are really top of mind with respect to growth.
You're manufacturing offshore, I guess, for
So the
most
core of
products.
our mattresses are made in Tennessee, and that's really been a great thing for us. But the rest has to come from offshore. There's nowhere onshore that can really make most of the things.
Yeah, yeah. Tariffs are it's not just the tariffs either. It's the delays in getting product. We've got a brand that sent product, I think a month and a half ago, 6 weeks ago, was supposed to land last week, and now it's going to take another delay and another delay, and it's everything is sort of costly. So it's really challenging, I think, to buy offshore right now. So, um, but what do you think is one tool that you use that you think is game changing today in your
Yeah, I mean,
business?
I think one of the tools that I would really credit with helping us achieve profitability, this is like 2, 3 years ago now, was House. I'm a huge fan of theirs. We use them for incrementality testing in the beginning. And it really helped us hone our channel mix and figure out what was and wasn't incremental, where we should be spending, different spend levels. We did a lot of spend level tests. We did cross channel allocation tests. But having a good incrementality testing platform or program, I think, is really vital, especially as you get to scale. Nothing's more important in terms of really dialing in that mix and achieving profitability. And now we use them for media mix modeling as well.
Yeah. What do you think are the 3 big challenges you think you're gonna face over the next 12 to 18 months?
So, I think these new product launches are always the most challenging.
Yeah.
They take so much work. Execution is really needs to be tight to get it done properly. Maybe in a way we're lucky because we don't have to, set up 1,000 stores and make sure that all goes right.
Right, right.
Forecasting, initial demand, things like that. At the end of the day, we're guessing. And those guesses have to be good, or you either stock out or you're left with a ton of extra inventory. Thankfully, it's been more the former for us, but that's still a painful thing when you could have sold 10 times more and you're out of stock for 3 months um, until you can restock. So I mean, really new product launches is number one, two, and three for us, and by far the most important. Other things that are on our roadmap, of course, are just the constantly changing landscape with respect to AI. Um, I think, like everyone else, we saw a lot of SEO clicks disappear as the channels gave answers instead of sent traffic, which I think is fine. I think it's probably net neutral to the business. Those probably weren't qualified clicks anyway. But it's still disheartening to see traffic down regardless, especially when you spend so much time on SEO. And it's still there and it still works. It's just in a very different format. And so it takes some adjustment. But really understanding AI, making sure we're staying on the cutting edge of it, um, and staying competitive on that front is another key determinant of success over
Yeah,
the next 2 years.
have you restructured your site, because of AI? Your
Yeah, I mean,
product
I think
pages?
we've restructured all kinds of things. We restructured the site to make sure that the crawlers really see and, added a ton of FAQs and other answers to make sure that we're the GEO. Um, and then we focused a lot more on the offsite communities and community building and making sure we're optimized there. And then also, lastly, making sure that we're included on the third-party sites that most frequently get cited by the AI reviews.
Yeah, I think, uh, the one thing I love about AI is that I building workflows and taking away repetitive tasks in marketing, I think it's great. What I don't like is all this new bright shiny stuff that people are pitching that doesn't work. Let's build fake UGC content. Let's build fake ads. You're trying to be authentic and your customer wants you to be authentic. You're trying to make a connection with your customer. So, the minute you've spent all this time building a brand and then you start putting fake UGC content out there or fake ads, customers see it. And then all of a sudden you lose everything that you've built. So, I tell people to be aware of that, but unfortunately, like we have clients that come to us and go, well, the prices should go down because you should be using more AI. And we go, yeah, we do use AI. We use it for workflows. We use it for this. We use it for different things, but we're not generating content with it because it's inauthentic. And do you want to kill your brand or you want to build your brand? So
Yeah, we actually ran a giveaway where we gave $50,000 for a college fund, basically, and it was over the summer when AI was all the rage and we were messing around with Sora and things, and so we did a video of a baby in a graduation cap taking off and flying, and we got so much flack for it.
yeah,
Like, oh, why are you using AI babies? You can't even use your baby communication. Like, no, I can't get a baby to fly. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
cannot.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but I understood with, the sentiment and we ended up pulling down a lot of those ads. And yeah, you gotta be really careful from a branding perspective.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. We got to wrap it up. We're running out of time, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us. And any last words?
No, just go have some more babies. We're in the middle of a baby bust. Need to
Yeah,
make sure that we hit those targets.
I've had 5 in my life. I think
Oh, good job. Thank you for your
yeah,
service.
yeah. Nice. All right, Aaron, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Pleasure.